Greetings, Commanders. We are live from the heart of Creative Assembly here in Horsham, the UK. Now, I've got some of the TWArena game developers here with me. Hi, guys. Or game designers will be more accurate, right? I don't know the difference in the job titles, but Dave and Jamie, explain what you do here.
Well, I'm one of the battle designers. I primarily work on new features and all that kind of stuff that occur in the battle.
I'm a content designer, so I work on all the bits and the bottoms and the gubbins, filling the game with content, essentially.
Well, that's a nice way to jam down your job descriptions to, this is what I do.
Well, it's
now,
very nice and simple.
I have your questions right here on my phone, and I'm going to try and ask them one by one. But the first thing we should do is ask, well, how did the weekend go, guys? We just had Alpha 9. How did it go?
Pretty good. It was pretty fun. I played quite a lot of battles. I didn't do as well as I wanted to this weekend. I usually have a pretty good score, but this weekend wasn't too excellent for me. But it was really, really awesome. A massive thanks to everyone that played this weekend as well. Yeah. The data really, really helps us. The feedback on the forums really, really helps us too. There's been a lot of really interesting metrics to work with. So it's been cool. It's been really, really awesome.
I had a similar experience, except I did exactly as well as I hoped I would.
It's because we weren't playing together. See, like I'm like a multiplayer, you know. So like I just, I bounce on top of other people. Like.
Well, that's true. The first thing I noticed, I haven't played in a few alphas, and this is the first time I got to play, and I got thrown into a tutorial, and of course I tried to skip it and failed horribly, but then I did get to play, and one of the first questions I've been asked is the tutorial's horrible and there's missing explanations. It's not got all the mechanics in it. Why?
Well, at least this is kind of a personal feeling, but any tutorial isn't ever going to turn you into a pro player overnight. It's not going to turn you into the best player on the planet in half an hour. A tutorial is only really meant to give you the bare basics of the game. It's supposed to give you enough so that you know how to start playing, and it gives you a hopping point so that you can start learning yourself. So all a tutorial really wants to do is teach you the basic mechanics, how to control units, how to win the battle, that kind of stuff. And if we really wanted to teach you every single mechanic in the game, you'd have to play through a good 5 or 6 hours of tutorials, which no one wants to do. I've never wanted to do that in a battle. I can't imagine anyone wants to do that for Arena. So one of the goals was keep the tutorial short, keep it sweet, keep it short and sweet, so that people can play through it and start actually enjoying the game.
You could consider the early tiers a tutorial in a way, anyway. You know, like that's where you're really supposed to be learning is through those first few tiers. So,
right.
Yeah, we tried to gear the game so that it's a learning curve the entire way through. So there's this nice one, this tutorial that gives you a good jump, and then for the rest of the game you're supposed to curve it up and learn on your own.
The tutorial really just sort of helps remove the difficulty of interfacing with the game. You know, actually get you to the point where it's like I can actually move a thing around, I can attack a thing. That's really the bare bones of what it needs to do for you.
Right, I'm going to jump all the way around these questions because you just kind of touched on one really far down the list. How is Tier 7 gameplay anything like Tier 10? What's the difference between them and all that sort of stuff? Now, you just said, well, the first few tiers is all about teaching you the basics of the game. Well, how does this change? How does it progress?
So you're supposed to be learning the entire way through the game, right? And by the time you reach Tier 10, that's the point where we want you to be, pretty pro. That's the point where we want to be really good, right? So Tier 7, you can still have a little bit of forgiveness in your actions. At Tier 10, we expect you to be punished for failures, essentially. So the gameplay is much, much sharper. The damage is much, much higher. The power of the abilities is much, much higher. The weaknesses of units are much more exploitable. Whereas at Tier 7, it'll be a little bit more forgiving. You kind of have a chance to sort of test out things at that before you kind of ramp up towards the end game, towards the end of the game.
Yeah, I've just received a file with everyone's names on it, by the way. I had all the questions, and I was like, I don't know who asked these questions. So I just found out that was actually asked by someone called Dek Edim. I'm gonna try and butcher everyone's names, everyone's nicknames.
That always goes down well.
You know this guy, right? So
cool.
He asked this question.
Do you want to read these? Do you want to? We can switch.
Yeah. So there you go. You got anything
we'll interview you.
You know the players better than me. That's a good sign. That's a good sign. So that's cool. That's that one. Now I need to go back to my question list, which is on the other thing, and continue from there. So there we go. This is why things shouldn't be last second. Yeah. Right. So next, unit weights. They've been cancelled. The mechanic has changed a bit, right? What's it changed from? What's it gone to?
So there used to be a little pip on your unit, and it told you the weight of the unit, but ultimately it was a lie, because there wasn't just 3 types of units and that was it. It was very much a case of this unit could be slightly more defensive than that unit, or it has slightly more armor, or slightly less armor, or slightly more speed, or slightly less speed. And trying to boil it all down to 3 levels of granularity is just a complete lie, basically.
Yeah.
It wasn't. It
So
wasn't providing the right information. Essentially, if anything, it was actually throwing confusion out there. People were expecting certain behaviours from a light unit. When the light unit didn't perform under that characteristic, they were like, it's not working. It's like, well, it's not actually being honest with you. The UI wasn't really truthful in that area.
And then being a light or a medium or a heavy changed definition depending on what weapon the unit used or whether they were on a horse or not.
Yeah.
So in reality they were just complete lies. So what we tried to move towards was using statistical groupings, which we've spoken about multiple times. And instead of trying to classify everything in just three levels of something, it basically tries to classify each of the characteristics of a unit. So a unit can be aggressive, defensive, survivable, or mobile. And now you can tell by which 2 bars are highest. You can say, well, this unit is attacky and it's fast. And that gives you a good idea of what the unit how it probably behaves. You know it goes fast and you know it needs to attack something. And then there might be one that's defensive and survivable, which means it probably doesn't move very much. It's not going to be great at attacking, but it can sit there and tank for days, and that's fantastic. And before, like heavy both meant it was really good at being defensive, but it also could mean that it was really good at being attacking. So what did heavy mean? Now that we have that display, we can actually create more units with more variability and more diversity between them.
And it's not just a label. I mean, it is aggregated out of all of the unit stats. Whereas again, the light, heavy, medium thing was literally a label stuck on top of units to try and just help give a gist of what something was. But it really wasn't actually based off of like anything really concrete. Nothing that we would want to put out and continue using. It's
kind of like having a collection of fruit and then gathering all the apples and oranges together and saying, yeah, these are all apples. And then you get the melons and bananas and say, well, they're all yellow, so they're just bananas. And that's just like a complete lie. But that's kind of what we were doing at the time. So we decided to throw that out and start again with something that we're hoping is a lot more true and accurate.
Well, I hope that answers your question, 33A Mary. So
Mary,
that's your question answered. I hope. I mean, it made sense to me. I think that's a worthy decision. I now know I can pick that, and I know roughly what I should be doing with that unit.
Or at least
whereas
what
beforehand,
to expect.
Heavy just meant literally heavy. It weighs a lot.
Well, yeah, exactly. What does that mean?
Right. So the next question: catapults. They're pretty good units.
Pretty good, yeah.
Pretty good
Pretty
units.
strong. Pretty strong.
That is a rephrased question, but I think you understand what the question actually is.
No,
right?
of course. They are pretty strong at the moment for sure. We're looking at different avenues of balancing them and working with them. We want them to be impactful. We want them to be powerful. At the moment, they do have plenty of weaknesses, but it might be that they're just churning out a bit too much DPS. So yeah, we're gonna keep working on it. There's quite a few different strategies that we can take, from reducing the boulders to doing other stuff. We're working on it. We're aware of issues with it, definitely.
This one is from Lorach. Is that right? Lorach. I hope that's the way to say it, right? So, Lorach, that's your question answered. And I'm going to quickly look for the next one. Which basically, I know off by heart the question. Simply, how do you consider balance between like commanders and units and all that sort of stuff? And I'm going to find out who asked that question now.
So, when it comes to balancing, obviously we have a direction that we want to go in. We have an idea behind the unit type and what niche it should be filling in the battlefield, what strengths it should have, what weaknesses it should have, what it should be blowing up and what it should be getting blown up by, of course. And we are always trying to drive towards that, and we're using obviously metrics and player feedback to kind of push us towards those decisions. And that's pretty much it, I suppose. Yeah, we just work with that.
And we also look at the forums and try to listen to player feedback, because quite often they do flag up like this is an issue. It's like we kind of thought it might be, but that makes it obvious. Yeah, it definitely is. Okay, well, we'll have a look at that.
Yeah, that's what Kirk 3D was. Kirk 3D, what a name that is. Kirk 3D. Well, Kirk 3D was concerned about how you consider this. So we're talking statistics, we're talking just gut feeling and listening to
as well as our own in-house tests. Like we test constantly. Like we're constantly either testing solo on our own computers, or we get our own 10v10 play tests done. And we look at our own It's kind of a balance of everything. Like we have player feedback, metrics, our own gut feeling, our own play tests, etc.
Of course, I mean, and part of it also is automation as well. But part of it is actually these playtests are in a part trying to help us balance the game. Of course, you know, it's still alpha. We're changing a great deal of mechanics, and we're introducing a lot of new content to the game. And this is a stage for us to help, you know, find the issues. You know, we had the tier 10 playtest last weekend, and that we hadn't really seen the game properly with real players at tier 10 before. So having that was like such amazing feedback, just to kind of actually see it all playing and clicking away was like, wow, you know, there are definitely issues, but you know, it's working and it's all good. You know, like it wouldn't come out of the box perfect. You know, obviously, usually this sort of stage of testing would actually be behind another wall of testing before we went live, you know. But now we are in a testing stage at the moment, so we're still working on the balance and figuring things out.
I'm going to ask you that question. This is not on the list. This is my question.
Oh no!
This is the curveball. It's like, how do you feel?
Sip of water. Hang on.
Yeah, go prepare.
Okay, ready.
The water comes out.
It's my thinking time. Too late. Yeah, okay.
Ready? What do you think of doing alpha testing in public compared to doing it behind the wall like you did in previous Total Wars ages ago? The difference in closed house testing, doing everything and releasing the final product, compared to this sort of involving the audience from a very early stage. What's your opinion as designers and balancers?
I think it's brilliant. It's excellent. Of course, I mean, you can see your game, and that is so invaluable before it actually really makes you. You can see a lot of important metrics about the game, and you get a vibe on how people are feeling about things. So it's invaluable. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely fun. It can be a bit down-putting sometimes. Because like, we do spend a lot of time on the forum. We do read a lot of, why did you do this?
Well, I mean, you know, we love it.
For the most part, but for the most part, it's fantastically useful. Like,
yeah.
We wouldn't be able to do half the features we are. We'd kind of be, otherwise we'd be kind of just walking in blind. I mean, I hope the players will like this. But now we can actually just put it out there, like, okay, they like it, or they really don't like it, and we can address it.
And that's the thing,
based on that context.
We're really honest. We're equally as passionate about it. You know, we absolutely love the game. We really want to make it awesome, and so, you know, like, it's a trial sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. Absolutely.
Great. It's great to hear. It's a completely different philosophy. Where before it was a vision of a team that was given away, and now it's kind of a group effort, right? It's different in game design.
Yeah, a lot
definitely more inclusive, for sure, which is great. It's cool.
Right. I'm trying to find the person who asked the next question. And
you could make a name up, couldn't you?
I could just do it. I'm not doing that though. I am not going to lie. I am trying to actually find out who says
002.
Yeah. Frank Skinner 101 asks. No. Where is it?
Is he playing our game? No way.
You never know.
Cool.
Okay, this is it. And there's no name, of course. I looked for it, and there's no name. Okay, so can you share the details on why you decided to give just 3 units to the players, right? Why not 20?
It was about the sweet spot, right? This is a bit before I got here. So.
Yeah, I mean, so we tested all sorts of different varieties, different sizes of of units, of armies, of teams, and we found that 3 really was the right level of micro that is manageable by one person whilst having to coordinate with the team. We found that worked out really well. I mean, when you compare it to previous Total War titles, obviously, like, you have so much to think about and manage, but you're only against one brain, whereas what we wanted here was to create a much more intense, micro-intensive thing around a little squad, right, and have that be your primary focus. And when you think about the amount of control you have with your units compared to previous Total Wars, it's huge. It's absolutely massive. When you have 3 commander abilities, I think 3 unit abilities, up to 2 active consumables at times.
Sometimes you have 5 unit abilities, like in artillery.
There's so much to do and micromanage that honestly, if you're doing it well and you have a commander that requires that kind of level, you can. The skill roof is super high, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to kind of have any more units to worry about. There's plenty going on between those 3, absolutely.
Well, a follow-up question to this exact one is 338 Mary again, and they ask, why have you decided to remove the commander's map, the overview map? Right? Now, so, I think this goes on what you were just saying.
So, basically, we kind of had a look, and we want this focus on just your 3 units and on you as a player. And we felt that if you needed the strategic map, it's because the mini-map was failing to do its job. Because that's much more of a focus thing. So the strategic map in traditional Total Wars is much more about, I have 20 units and I need to manage them all, and I need to be able to control all of them from anywhere on the map, whereas it's not true in Arena. You're only controlling your 3, And if there's something going on the other side of the map, you can turn your camera and look at it. But you don't have any control over what's going there other than typing in chat, and you don't need to be able to click on those units. You don't need any of that. All you need is to be able to see the general status of, are we losing over there? Or are we winning? Are there too many enemy units? Etc. So you can make decisions like, I should go back to the base because that side is losing, or we've won, I should either hold here or push as fast as I can. And you can do that just by turning your camera around. And then the rest of it comes from the minimap. So in the most recent patch last weekend, we had a new feature called minimap tracking, where you can actually zoom the minimap in to focus more on just your units. So previously the minimap was so small that a player could be summed up in just a square because all of his units were just underneath this icon because the map was so big and the icons were so big, but your units were so small, etc. But now you can zoom in. You can actually see all three of your units separately. You can see all the enemies and allies all around you as they move and all that kind of stuff. So you actually have this much more focus and a much more, if you want to call it tactical or strategic view, because you can actually get much closer. And the hope is that with that, you can get all the tactical information that you had on the strategic map. And if you really need to be able to see what's going on the other side of the map, it's kind of a skill in and of itself to turn and move there. So yeah, it's basically trying to take away the laziness of pressing a button and get all the information.
That's it.
And more micro and more awareness. Like you can see it in all kinds of other titles where awareness of the map awareness is a skill in and of itself. And that's true of Arena as well. You don't get everything just handed to you on a plate. You need to track it in your head. You need to be a good player. You need to be aware of what's happening around you. You need to turn and pay attention to it.
But what about me just drag selecting 20 units, right clicking on the enemy army and just watching the map? Why can't I do that, right?
That's not what Arena is, I'm afraid.
It's a different type of game.
Oh, right. Well, Famaz2 asks, why can't you change the formation with just the mouse?
You can.
No, with
Yeah,
just
well,
the
okay.
mouse.
Just the mouse.
So,
Okay, you can with
So you
alt,
can change the formation. The usual question we get is, why can't I change my formation? Which just isn't true in Arena. You can. But in Arena, as we were saying, we want it to be much more micro-intensive. We want there to be that snap reaction. We want players to be able to have to think quickly and be able to then act quickly. And if you've got traditional Total War, you hold down right click, you drag, it changes the formation of your units. But in Arena, you see someone coming behind you, you just want to turn, you just want to react to that instantly. You want to block his charge, you want to counter charge, etc. If your unit then starts also changing its size, and you're like, oh crap, all of a sudden you can't turn really quickly. You have to turn, and then like, oh no, how big, oh geez, and then eventually you get there. And okay, it's not anywhere near as exaggerated as what I was just demonstrating, but anything more than like a half second is going to mean the difference. It could mean the difference between you getting wrecked and you winning. So it's just as easy. Like you can do it just as quickly as you could before. You just need to hold down a key. It's just an extra skill that you need to learn.
It's also the depth and width of your unit is super, super important in Arena. I think more so than other Total War titles.
How so?
Because it's super, super important that you make sure to keep your flanks protected, to make sure that people aren't getting around you, and also so that you can try and work your way through behind enemy lines. So certain unit types are able to pull themselves out or squish themselves in more than others. And that allows them to be able to be more dexterous and mobile and work their way through and get round. So you can kind of squish down and chew straight through a little gap and then turn around and get a flank off on someone. That kind of skill is available within Arena. You can manage that, and what we wanted to make sure was that those actions, when you make them, are deliberate, not accidental, right? Like if you're going to be stretching out this sort of strange accordion, it's a lot more difficult to kind of pull off that micro skill. And
I think everyone here and at home can relate to playing a Total War game and having this perfect lineup, and then you accidentally click there and everyone turns into this massive line.
So the typical and easiest example is Spearman. You can move them out. The defensive units, you want them to be able to defend a decent area, so if you have like a choke point, they can go wider than a swordsman can, because the swordsman isn't defensive. The idea isn't that it's defensive, it's an assault unit. So a spearman can cover a wider area, but if they leave any gaps, swordsman can get small enough that they can actually punch through and flank the spearman. So there's kind of that metagame going on as well.
So I was checking for the next question based on what you were saying, and again it's a question with no name to it, so I apologise. Let us know in the comments. I'm sure you will. This is your question.
Comments are on fire.
I'm sorry, okay. But the morale mechanics, right? You were saying how important it is to sneak in behind, wash your flanks, and stuff like that. The morale mechanics have changed quite significantly to other Total War games and titles. So Could you explain the differences? And the actual question goes into depth and saying like it feels faster now. The fights are shorter. People are getting to fights faster. It feels like maybe tacticalness, whatever that means, has actually been lost a bit. Could you just give some thoughts on it?
So, what we actually did with the morale system, one of our main goals was to make sure that everything that happened was as a very deliberate choice. So in traditional Total War and even in Arena before the switch over, it was not clear as to why your unit was breaking or what morale effects were applied, and your unit morale would suddenly go up and down and down and up, and you wouldn't know why, and all of a sudden it would break. You're like, well, why did my unit just break? I'm sure everyone has had that 1,000 times.
Lots of little factors that were coming into play that were very, very difficult to read, essentially.
When you're a Total War player, when you start really getting good enough to start paying attention to those little things, you have to go down the rabbit hole of researching morale. Everyone's done that, right? Everyone has gone to the point in Total War where you've had to go down the rabbit hole. What is morale? How does it work? And where's the +1 from? Where's the -3 from?
Funnily enough, in a lot of ways, it was simplified, but we also explained it a lot more, right? We exposed a lot more information about it, and I think that kind of actually gave this image of like, whoa, there's suddenly a lot going on with morale, and oddly enough, it was actually maybe slightly less complex than it has been in the past, but definitely
So part of that, making actions deliberate, was linking action and reaction.
Right.
So what we did do was speed up how quickly you lose morale when an effect is applied to you. Not by much, but we did. And that was partly to make sure that when you do something, you see the effects of it happening. So you know, okay, I can do that. And part of giving that control to players as well makes it more tactical. I would potentially argue.
Can of worms just got open there.
It definitely is.
So now, as a player, you have direct control over what morale effects you do and don't do. So you are able to go in and tactically position yourself and surround an enemy and flank them and break them and know what's going to happen. Because before it was you might as well flip a coin, but now you should know exactly what's going to happen as soon as it happens. At the same time, we exposed more information about them, like you said. Every morale effect has an icon that you should be able to recognise. It displays your target morale, so we expose a lot more of the underlying morale system as well now. So to a degree, maybe it makes things less tactical, but it's partly because we're just exposing a lot more information about it, and I think it's going to take a while to learn what all that information means, because we're still getting to the point where we're explaining those things. We release blogs quite often, and so we're still at the point where we're explaining in depth the mechanics.
And it's also something that we're still building upon. Like it's a huge reworking, and it's still it's still in its way growing. We're going to keep analysing it and making sure that it's super fun and still working and is much better than it was.
For example, we just introduced flank secure in the playtest.
Exactly, that was a new one, in fact.
Yes, it was.
We should have brought that up earlier. Yeah.
Well, really that's the next thing. I don't think it's not a question, but what was new in the last Alpha weekend? We're meant to go there.
Flank secure.
It's a huge tangent we just did for 20 minutes, but let's go back to that. So, what was new in Alpha 9?
Well, the first one was flank secure. So if you've got two melee units next to each other, they'll secure each other's flanks, and they'll get, I think it's a 10% morale buff for that.
Okay.
There's also flank supported, flank guarded, which is missile units for melee and standing in front and behind each other. So you actually have support from missile friends, so that you get morale buff. There was a new front end. The entire front end was completely
That was massive.
reworked. So it has the nice campfire, the 3D scene, and the nice forest, and the wolf and
there's a secret. There's a secret in there. There's a couple of secrets in the front end.
Really?
If you can find any secrets,
Definitely
post them up on the forums. Post them up on the forums, and I'll award you the internet. It's
the whole internet.
The whole thing. I've got
you
it.
have the internet.
I've got it in my van.
all the
Download
UI,
the internet.
Download the internet.
all the UI on the front end was completely reworked
Yeah.
to be much more user friendly.
Yeah.
I'm very happy about that one because it's made it
Good.
much easier. What else did we do? We have the new achievements. I think there were something like 10 or 11 new achievements added in. We had the cosmetic shields.
Yeah, those arrived. Yeah.
I'm sure there were other things, but I haven't memorised the patch notes.
We could get them. We could go get the patch notes
Yeah.
and read through if you like. Or everyone at home
We'll
is
be back
welcome
in
to
10
check out the
minutes.
patch notes.
Let's go off, have a 10-minute break, we'll be back. No, okay, let's move on. And the first thing we should have been talking about was actually some old questions, bringing up
Right.
sort of why were things done? So, for example, the commander had a fourth ability. For anyone who didn't know, a while ago, the commander did have a fourth ability.
Long time ago.
Why was that removed? Why not 4 abilities?
Honestly, the fourth one just wasn't really necessary. It didn't say anything more about that commander, what they did, or who they were, or how they played. It was just kind of, what it was really doing was actually pushing more of the aspect of the game onto the commander and taking away some of the identity of the units. And what we really wanted to do was actually kind of bring up the identity of the units a little bit and allow the commanders to be a flavour and a change upon what the units themselves are. By putting all of that emphasis on the commander, it kind of made it too difficult to kind of actually bring out the awesomeness of the units and the exciting parts about them, the features that follow them up, you know. So yeah, we moved on to that.
No, that's basically it.
So my challenge question is: can you read Roman numerals?
Can you
read Roman numerals?
Can you read?
Up to 100.
Can you read this nickname? Because I got a feeling this is a play on Roman numerals.
Oh lord.
Oh, hang on.
XXNN 3300 Pro
XX. That doesn't sound like a
I think
polite
it's a-
name.
Is this one of the ones you made up?
No, honest to God, this was there. So thank
they
you,
just put things in-
XXNN3300 Pro XX, or should I say PR0XX, because I can see the difference. Thank you for that question.
For that name.
But good name. Yeah, we're not. You know, it's a good name. It is a good name, mate.
Sure.
It's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so this looks... Okay, this is probably a Russian name. I think this is one of those ones I was being taught earlier. So it's like Wallstick? I don't know. Someone has asked, give me your thoughts on the Commanders' development right now. How do you feel the Commanders are developing? Are they progressing well? Like... Just any details.
We've made some massive steps. I think so. Not too long ago, we completely reworked the commanders' trees. The idea being to sort of provide sort of more options and more interest behind them. I mean, but back in a long time ago, it was a completely linear progression. Then we introduced these trees, and they were kind of segmented and kind of like didn't really link together. And now what we want to do is kind of bring it all into one space and kind of like show them that this is the development of your commander. You know, have it in one area that we can kind of work with and customize. I don't think it's entirely there yet. I think that there's more work to do in that area. I think we all want to keep improving on it. But yeah, it's one of those things. At the moment, we have what we have, and we're working with it, and we're working with everyone in their feedback to keep working on it. So
that's good. What is the next questions? Okay, so the commanders, there's Captain Adham. That's a nice name. Thank you very much for having a pronounceable name. There are commanders in the game who are adjusted to certain unit types. Are you planning to make commanders more versatile and suitable for various unit types?
I think there's space for both. I don't see why we should have one commander that can't do a whole host of things, and then one commander that is specialised towards a particular unit. I honestly don't see a problem with that. It only gives the players more options. It gives you guys more things to explore and different play styles to kind of work with. So I see no reason to lock that down at all.
We've already got a few commanders that work quite nicely with a variety of units. For example, like Alexander works quite nicely with both spears and cavalry.
Yeah.
Probably a bit better at cavalry than he is with spears.
He's fairly versatile. Yeah,
he has some good stuff.
and you can combine him as well. He's a commander that actually benefits quite well from bringing maybe just one spear and a pair of cavalry, or the other way around. And it's definitely something that we want to have there and explorable. Yeah.
Good. So looking for the next question, there was one about, yes. So here's the question from Marius Grozny.
That's a wicked name.
Yeah, I think it's how you pronounce it.
Marius.
Is there a particular purpose of introducing unit types differences across different factions? For example, the Greek faction does not have swordsmen. Nice question.
So, yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, the idea being that the factions should feel unique, and that playing them should grant you a different play style, should allow you to experience different things within the game. So absolutely, we definitely want the factions to feel different. That's the thing. Interesting note on the Greeks as well. I don't think they didn't often fight with their swords. A sword would kind of be a backup if they lost, God forbid, their spear or broke it on someone. They would, then they would be able to resort to the Falcata. But really,
does that happen in game?
No, it doesn't. Unfortunately, it doesn't. Watch this space maybe one day, but but yeah,
you heard it here first. Maybe,
but rather complicated feature. And again, it would work against what we're trying to do at the moment, which is make the factions feel really unique. Have this standout gameplay and style behind each one.
Good. Anything to add, Jamie?
I don't think so. That kind of sums it up really well.
Oh, thanks, man.
High five, design team. Yeah.
That's cool.
Synchronise.
We need that. Can we get like a replay in slow mo? Like,
Right, so let's move on to the next topic. And this is all about player versus player. This is all about the mechanics of everyone being able to work together and all this sort of stuff. So I want to find who asked these questions because it's important, I think, to know who it is. Okay, so Lizanna, now we know who it is to blame if it goes wrong. The question is, well, I say it's less of a question, it's more of an observation that they want your opinion on.
Okay.
So there is an opinion
Fair enough.
that 4 players in a party have a significant influence on the result of a battle.
Right.
4 players are 40% of the team. How will you comment on this? Very nice, very nice angry message there, I think.
Well,
Or
it's kind of a, well, yeah,
To
they will
be-
do. Like,
It's to be expected, really. I mean, yeah, if these 4 players are working together and yeah, they're coordinating, then yeah, they will be powerful. It should be that the matchmaking is sorting out so that if you end up with a 4-player team on one side, you should have another 4-player on the team on the other side. And
Right.
those should logically be cancelling each other out with the matchmaking. It should work out that these teams are kind of coming up against each other and will be relatively cancelling each other. There will be times, like in any match, where there'll be getaway teams that will just completely storm it. But again, it's a team game. It is designed so that you can work together and you can benefit from that. You know, I think you're less likely to see it in the earlier tiers, and towards the late game, it's likely that hopefully you'll have a couple of friends and you'll play with them. And if not, again, the matchmaking should be looking after you enough that you can kind of work with it and survive through.
But let's be honest, right? Of all our friends, and everyone's got some friends, right? But
Right.
but they suck, right? My friends suck. So
Oh.
we go into game. I want to play with them. I do, but I'm gonna be one guy trying to organise cats, and the other team gonna have 4 elite guys who work together every day, have perfect communication, and have a plan. Have you got any way to counter that? Any way to even that out?
I mean, the general hope is that in future, when we do things like a ranked game mode, as an example, that the players who are working hardcore and have a plan and are working really well together would hopefully venture towards that. And you'd be able to have that casual queue for yourself and for your friends who just want to muck about and don't want to have to go super hardcore. What is it called?
Try hard.
Try hard. That's exactly what I was looking for. Try harding. That's exactly what I was looking for. Yeah. And you might be able to get the no try hard queue.
You
And the try hard
always-
go to ranked.
You can always make really cool new arena buddies, you know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Hit them up in
Make
chat, make
friends with
friends,
them.
and
If
yeah,
you
exactly.
can't beat
Make
them,
friends,
join them.
party up. And again, it's a social game, you know. You should chat to each other, party up, make friends, you know, play together. That's part of the fun of it.
So the future is esports.
I don't think anyone should arrive on the scene and say we're an e-sport.
Yeah.
It's something that it's something you earn essentially. I think you have some really good points in it.
Yeah, basically, like we'd want players to start doing that first, and then we support them, rather than spend months putting loads of tools in for esports, and then no one actually wants to do
Absolutely.
that, and no one plays it. Like, well, we spent a lot of time. We'd rather spend the time now making the game cool, making a game that people would want to play and compete on, and then they can start playing and competing with each other, and then we go, okay, well, they want this. Let's support it. Let's put in tournaments. Let's put in this and that and the other thing to make it e-sporty.
I think it would be presumptuous to sort of arrive and say we're an e-sport,
Yeah.
because that's just, I don't know, you see games do that
Aren't
and
we
often it doesn't
amazing?
work. Yeah, and it's kind of, no, we want to make a really, really awesome game that people want to enjoy, and if it comes out of it, then that's super cool. That's super, super cool. It's obviously, yeah, it'll be awesome.
Good answer, man. Good answer. So on the other side of the coin, Graham7474 asks or states the game lacks coordination between players.
Ooh.
Just statement. It's not a question.
Okay.
Why is it
All
in
right.
the question
There
list? It's a statement. But okay, the statement's
We
been
I'd
made.
love
have
to-
it
I'd
tell
love
the
to-
devs why they're wrong. That's
Even a question.
there are a host of tools to help you communicate with other players. You know, we have a system of pings that allow you to tell someone attack, defend, artillery, hit this thing, please. We should have please on there, shouldn't we? It should say please. Also,
a very British attitude, but yes, perhaps.
we can, yeah, maybe just we'll
Would you like a
localise
spot of tea after you do so?
When you have a moment, could you throw a rock
you can
Would you
tell us
mind?
straight,
It's
so you
not
can
too much trouble.
You can draw on the map. You know, you can indicate things. You see that a hell of a lot. Obviously, you can use the chat. So the tools are there to communicate with each other. Absolutely.
So to be just to sum up, we do have pings. In each ping, there are 5 pings. You can do attack ping, support ping, defend ping, artillery ping, and a general alert ping.
Standard ping.
You can telestrate, which is you can click a button and draw on the map, draw whatever you want,
including
certain things.
You can draw whatever you want, but you're a mature adult and you won't do anything silly. So
hopefully you would draw something that helps you communicate with your teammates in a constructive fashion. Like, please go here, or someone's coming this way, or come towards my unit, I will defend you.
It's very situational.
It's like, cover the flank here, attack in this direction, and watch this flank, right?
Yeah, something along those lines. And then on top of that, we also have a chat wheel, so you can hold down caps lock and it'll give you a chat wheel. Again, attack, defend, support, and that'll pop up in chat. So we have, and then there's chat. So we have all the tools there for you to communicate with each other. The ping and telestration are available on the top right of the screen, if you didn't know that. They're highlighted for new players, so unless they've used them, they'll keep poking them, saying, these are things are here, you should use them. So the idea is that the communication tools are there. You just need people to start using them a lot more.
Graham.
Well, no, I mean, maybe we need to bring more awareness to it. Maybe it's something we need to put up on a wiki somewhere and kind of have it explained. But yeah, the tools are there, and I think before we think about changing something like that, we need to see that they don't work in some way. The moment we have a step,
that may be Graham's concern. Is that there are tools there, but people are ignoring them or something. Maybe they should be neon lights flashing in people's face.
It's really tough sometimes to figure out. Is it because the tools are bad, or is it because the awareness of the tools is bad? And each of those is a completely different strategy for dealing with them, and it's really difficult to figure out which one of those it is.
Of course, if we are able to locate that there is a problem with the communication system, we would take steps to improve upon it and change it and adapt it, and then that would be...
For example, we did have a problem where you had the one ping and it was no clue what that meant. Like, you could be pinging out, you could have someone else dropping a ping on top of your unit. You're like, I don't know what you want from me. Do you want me to attack? Do you want me to go back? Do you want me to sit here and look pretty? Like,
I'm just concerned. No, I just feel concerned.
I'm just concerned.
Something is happening.
Yeah. So to try and address that, we added 4 more pings. One is attack, defense, support, etc. So you can actually be more specific of attack. There is still a problem if someone is putting attack ping. Does that mean someone's attacking me? Does that mean they want me to attack? Does that mean they're going to attack me? Help. There's perhaps...
You can do that, and if you need help, then
I'm attacking, help,
call for help.
I'm under attack, help.
So the communication tools is something we're constantly looking at and trying to address. Like, is this a problem, like, are players using it and it's just not making sense? So one of the new features we did have in this playtest as well, the weekend just gone, was that when someone pinged, it would actually appear on the side scoreboard next to them, so in this guy is the one who pinged. So you have a better idea who on earth just did that. Is it anyone near me? Is it someone I should care about? Which, if your team's pinging you should probably care, but
But what should you care about?
That's the kind of step as well, is you don't want to take massive, crazy strides at this point. We have a system that's working, we just need to work with it and kind of build on it. So.
Great. So I hope that answers the questions of Soltella.
Solatella.
There you go. Solatella, Horizon.
We know him too.
Of course. I just can't read names, apparently. It's just the thing.
So.
And Anleitung.
Oh,
you know this one?
Anleitung.
This one? Read this one. Do you know this guy?
No. Oh, Anleitung, yeah.
Yeah, you know this guy. Okay, so
cool.
they were asking about the competitiveness and that sort of stuff. I've mixed all their questions up, but that's really what it is. Is there anything else you can say about future plans for anything regarding Matchmaker or anything like that? Or if we covered everything, basically? And this is the time you take the water sip.
I
think we're there. I think we kind of answered. Yeah. No ad-lib comments at the moment.
Well, I hope that answers those questions about the competitiveness of the game.
Is this important?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, hang on.
Wait.
You first?
No,
I have to put mine down first.
Yeah, because he picked it up, then you did, then me, so it's got to do that.
Are you worried that these are switching somehow?
No, I just thought...
magic water dance.
I just thought it'd be really funny.
Right, okay, right. Oh, I'm sorry.
Not as funny, but
Okay, right, next time we'll do the thing, all right?
There
just
was,
nudge me. And okay, right, cool.
For anyone at home who's a bit confused, there was just a water problem.
Fiasco, I'd say.
Confusion of whose water is whose, I think, or something.
It's all good.
In summary, I hope that answers everyone's questions on competitiveness and the gaming systems.
Oh, dear.
And we'll move on to the next subject.
It's one of the most difficult things I've dealt with today.
Wait, I think we're out of the basic subject. So we've finished all the Alpha 9 questions and all the questions of the previous times that we've got. So now we're on to the big question.
Oh.
And this question, I expect there to be a little bit of an answer, a bit more than a 2-minute thing. You brushed on it early on. It's like a few moments ago, a few patches ago, things changed, right? You were on Steam, and now you're not. The game was a bit different. So I'll try and find the person who's asking this question, because I think this is very colourful, and I want to read it as it's written on my sheet.
I just want to point out, you started that off with, there was a patch and something changed. Yes. Yes, they did.
Many patches ago.
I really hope the patches are changing.
Patches ago.
We're just releasing the same build.
Multiple patches.
Okay, there is no... I didn't think there would be a name to this. So this is a general consensus, or at least a general feeling among the population, the players. So why have you decided to rework the game? 2 years ago, it was available on Steam at a more advanced stage of development compared to the current one. That's, again, a statement, not a question, but I feel we understand what they're trying to ask.
I think, firstly, I mean, I'd completely disagree that it was more advanced. If you were to compare the two games side by side at this point, honestly, you would see there is so much more in the current version of Arena. It's been built on hugely. I think I almost look back on Steam and see what we had there as a framework for what really built what we have now. I think we've answered this in a dev diary quite a while back, or in another interview before. But we built this game that like it had like this amazing potential, but it was also didn't really have like a longevity to it. There wasn't really a chance to kind of go further with it. Whereas when we went offline and we changed hands and we started working with Wargaming, we had this massive opportunity to kind of build this into a game that has a foundation that we can work on for years. And that's really what we want, is to make sure this game goes out there, survives, does well for itself, and people get to play it and have fun with it. I think the Steam version may not have lasted too long if we released it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So
we would have had a game that was very confusing to learn, and there would have been about 100 people who really loved the game, and that would have been it. And those people have been playing against each other for a very long time, but there would have been no new players. It was a very, very confusing game. It was very difficult to play. It was very messy. The UI, in some ways, had a style to it that's very different from now. But overall, the UI was messy back then. We had bugs like ledge tracking. I'm sure people will know what that means. Ledge tracking. We had charges going off in random directions. We had like a big problem where players generally didn't like playing through units they didn't want to play the ones they did.
Yeah, you had a good explanation before we were talking, and you said to me something about this. Like the unit progression changed, right?
Yeah. So for example, we had artillery where you could play a catapult, and catapults were great, and they felt amazing, and then you played a ballista, which is like, okay, it doesn't feel quite so good, and then you play a tiny little scorpion, and it's like, wait, hang on a second, I just want to play a catapult, I want to throw big rocks at people, and I want to blow them up, I don't want to shoot little bolts, and I don't want to, like, 3 little engines, I just want to play my catapults. And due to the way all the units are intertwined, especially in the unit trees, like for example, you can have a piece of equipment on a lower tier unit and you unlock it, and that unlocks it for free on a higher tier one. And just due to how intricate all of that stuff is, I mean, it makes your job fantastically complicated.
Yeah.
But because of that, the solution to that problem is, well, we have to redo the unit trees. And that's all we can do, and there is no other solution. So that's exactly what happened, is that 3 factions worth of unit trees were done from scratch.
It was absolutely huge. I mean, the visuals were completely, changed for them. Like, we made sure that every item kind of actually had something that changed a little bit visually as well. We went through, we completely reworked all of the equipment for the units. We reworked all the bonuses that were on the equipment. We reworked the unit stats. We went in deep and tried to sort of sort out a lot of the balancing issues between the units, making sure they were actually distinct and that things were changing. Like a huge amount of work went into reorganising, reshuffling, and making sure the trees were solid and workable and distinct before it was really tangled, and it wouldn't have survived very well.
I wouldn't have liked it if I went for a catapult and then got switched into ballistas and scorpions, and it was like, wait, what is
with these trees, it allows you to refine a play style as well. You start off, and what we do is we hand you the tools to learn more about that unit type as you go along. But by the point you get to tier 10, you should have really gotten to the point where you're mastering that unit type, and you're kind of like, right, I've got all of the tools that this unit has, and I'm going to learn how to really play this unit well. But the entire time, because there's so much depth to all of the different intricacies of using a unit, you kind of, we have to introduce it over those stages. It almost loops back to the beginning of the conversation where we said, the entire thing is a learning curve. I'd actually argue even once you get to tier 10, in some ways, maybe that's actually where you start learning. Like many games, that's the point where you're like, right, okay, now I've got everything here. Now it's time to get good. Like, this is the point to get really, really good at this and start, playing like a pro.
Yeah, we were talking about it earlier. The difference in tier 1 and 2, you can make mistakes. The game is less punishing on you. Yeah. You get to play around and watch your swordsmen attack each other for a while and enjoy the animation. And just sit there and watching the cutscene. Yeah. But later on, if you're doing that, you're going to get basically one shot.
And again, like with the new unit trees, we actually can do that. We can take you on this journey of learning where we introduce things step by step. We just couldn't have done that with the old trees without a huge reworking, and that makes it really, really difficult for people to maintain. It makes the accessibility of the game very, very difficult if you keep mixing things up really, really sharply as you go along.
Yeah. So if someone wants to change what they're playing, it should be a choice. If they want to play, if they've been playing swordsman for 5 tiers, they shouldn't have to play through a spearman to get which didn't happen before, in fairness, but that shouldn't be a thing that you force. It did with the catapults, but it shouldn't be something you force onto a player. They should choose.
Yeah. Well, we had strong metrics also indicating that these were the points where players were losing interest, was where they were being forced to sort of jump around and move things, and so some players really did enjoy it, and that's cool. But like the huge majority of people just weren't getting on with it. It was crashing things. It was bad.
We've seen metrics like as many people were playing tier 3 catapults as were playing all swordsmen at tier 7 and 8 or something like that. Yeah. I just didn't see any catapults from tier 8 because they would still be pretty decent.
Yeah.
But no one wanted to go through the ballista or the light ballista, which is entirely fair. So, yeah,
makes sense. Yeah. Tony Young live says the game is so much more advanced now than it was. I love what you've been doing so far. So keep going. So
that was nice.
A nice comment on the live show.
Where did that come from?
Well, thank you,
awesome.
Tony.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We hope so. It's good.
So let's go back to the questions. We have a general question about customization, cosmetics and stuff like that. What should people expect?
Cool stuff.
All sorts, yeah.
Good answer. So that's it, done, let's go. Cool stuff.
We just started to put back in cosmetic items. So now we have an interface that allows you to switch out different items that are cosmetic, no stat changes, that let you just make your dudes look cooler. We're going to keep filling in more and more of that kind of content and adding in more bits and bobs and cool items and bespoke stuff that's super cool, and we can use it in all sorts. There are so many different conversations and thoughts and ideas on where we could go with like customizable content that it's.
I wanted a unit that threw poo. purely cosmetically. Like it wouldn't actually have any missile effect. It wouldn't do any damage.
I like that.
Because I don't know about anyone else, but
this. Not once have you mentioned this.
I don't know about anyone else, but I would pay good money for that.
I would pay money for that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if it's that awesome, we should have a stat effect.
I would pay even more money.
We'll just have it as a unit type. Poo flingers.
Pay even more money for flaming.
I'm sure someone did that at some point.
Bunny ears helmets instead.
We did promise that to you, didn't we? Yeah. But yeah, there's so much stuff we could do with cosmetic stuff, or possibly with commanders, skins and things like that. All sorts of stuff that we can do. At the moment, we're just getting in the systems that we did have, reworking those, and then we're going to start looking at other stuff because there's so much stuff you could do with it. So yeah.
Great. I'm just looking to see who asked the question. That's Lord Bulbul. Bulbul. B-U-L-B-U-L. Bulbul.
Yeah, Bilbo. Yeah, okay.
Belba. There's no E there.
Is it Bilbo?
Well, it's spelled B-U-L-B-U-L.
Bulbul. Okay,
Bulbul.
yeah.
Okay, it's not Bilbo.
Yeah, we're playing against him on the weekend.
You were spotted by the devs. There you go.
I'm not going to say whether I don't want him to feel bad.
At the start of the stream, I pwned everyone. Now it's like,
it's
well,
Jamie.
maybe.
It's a given. He probably did.
Okay. Right, so let's have a look at the next one.
Weekend tactic, burn it down.
Right, so this is a little sensitive of a question, so I'm going to rephrase it slightly. Will there be anything for the alpha players in the final release?
I think that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think the particulars of what it will be exactly we're working through. But I mean, as a thank you for all of the help that everyone has given us in getting the game together, I think it's absolutely appropriate. Yeah, definitely. I mean, and it is important. I mean, it is a big thank you, because without you guys actually testing and working on the game and kind of actually getting involved, we wouldn't have the metrics to support and kind of make the decisions that we do. That we're going in a good direction at the moment, and we think
without players, we'd be kind of walking in blind and hoping.
It goes without saying, almost, doesn't it? Kind of need players, but I mean, obviously everyone that's been involved is amazing. Their dedication is absolutely astounding. It's super, super cool to see that, and it's awesome to see people so engaged and having fun. So,
on the topic of someone being engaged,
congratulations,
Joe Daryl. Nice. From the live stream, Joe Darrell asks simply, what's the strength of Leonidas? Obviously from the film 300, very popular commander. He's in the game, I assume, right?
His strength is the ultimate defensive commander.
He's supposed to be a stalwart defender, and at the moment, honestly, so in the last patch, I wasn't entirely happy with how he came out. So we have to.
Really?
I think we do have some work to do on him a little bit, but he is supposed to be a strong defensive wall with a really, really nasty shield bash that basically will make you back off. And we're going to get him there, absolutely.
What did you not like about him?
How to say? Honestly, I think it's maybe we just undercooked some of the stats on him. I think honestly his unit tree his equipment tree, we could look at. Equipment? What am I talking about? His talent tree, that's the one. There are so many trees. I'll just cycle through until I find the right. I think there's a little bit of work to do on his talent tree. Maybe just tweak a few things, adjust him a little bit. We might have to look at spears a little bit and kind of adjust how they play a little bit, because obviously he's so intertwined with them. But yeah, we're looking at options.
Okay. I'm looking at the other questions to look for safe ones, because I don't want anything unexpected to happen. And I think, where is it? No, I think we'll go with the final question. And this is from me to you guys, and I really think this is really important, because I've seen the attitude of some people. They've misunderstood what an alpha is, and we discussed it slightly earlier, what it's like working with players early on. The drawback, as we discussed, is that people can see the game in a rough state and may judge it incorrectly. So how can you be a good alpha contributor? How can you be a good alpha player?
Play the game, I guess. I mean, that's the main thing. Is honestly, just give it a damn good go. Try and find things that you think don't work. Try strange combinations. If you find an OP strategy, by all means, absolutely use it, hammer it, because that all comes out in our metrics, and we can see that, and then we can it helps guide us and helps us find our feet with the directions we need to go in. And if we're trying to drive the game to a certain place, seeing that it isn't going in that direction through the metrics really, really helps. Obviously, the feedback is absolutely crucial as well. People getting on the forums, being engaged, talking to each other, discussing stuff. Yeah, absolutely. The surveys are a massive, massive help. So please do fill those out, guys. They're super, super helpful. One of the most helpful things.
Big numbers and things that we can't exactly record on metrics.
Yeah.
Like how confusing is the camera isn't something that we can record numerically.
Absolutely.
It's just great to get opinions back on things like that, as an example.
And remember, be honest. If you lie, it comes out on the survey.
We're not going to come and find you.
Camera was fine. It didn't confuse me. I promise. It was perfectly. I don't want to be an idiot. No,
we don't see your names next to them. So.
It's anonymous. All the surveys.
When we look at the numbers, it doesn't really matter to us who said that. Who cares? It matters. Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
It matters that it was said, not who it was said by.
Yeah, I definitely don't have a secret list of addresses and house names. No.
All right, this is going to be a question I'm going to grab from the audience again. How do you feel about the state of scorpions? I feel this is a safe one you could answer. Maybe manual aims like catapults will make them feel good, because right now they're not so great. We bash them a little bit.
I think honestly that they could be possibly a little bit more powerful.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Yeah,
well, I don't think we need to add another mechanic.
I'm not going to be adding manual aim to them, because that doesn't really make sense. So a catapult is very much top down. It makes sense to have a manual aim, even with its bolts. It's a bit, it's okay, but having 3. And plus their fire rate is fast enough that I'd be very surprised if a human was able to manual aim them fast enough to get their full potential out of them. So I think I would rather look at like the damage and the reload time and all that kind of stuff about them. But,
I mean, they should
an
be.
overall mechanic rework is.
They should be providing a problem for slower infantry, essentially, like the big tanky boys that are out there in the middle. That's what should be the Scorpion should be their problem, right? And if they're not fulfilling that niche, then we need to address it. We need to look at it and adjust it. So yeah, again, it's all subject to change. It's all something that we're looking at and we're analysing. We're adjusting as we go.
Okay. Alice, no, I'm not saying your question. No, actually, there's someone who has just asked a question. I saw a book earlier, and I'm gonna poke you on this before we close out because I'm not sure you're allowed to talk about this.
Oh.
So, is there anything you can say about Boudica? Says Tommaso Magli.
I could say that she's coming.
Yeah, I
out
can say Boudica
at
is
some
coming.
It's coming.
Just like winter.
She's on the way. She's on the way.
So, what can we look forward to soon? We had Alpha 9. What's next?
Next Alpha.
Well, Alpha 10. Okay, so what do we expect in Alpha 10? What can you reveal? What's going to be new in Alpha 10? And when is it?
It's this weekend. I can say
Surprise!
that. Surprise! It is this weekend. As to what's in it.
It's a good
Not
cue.
what we can say.
Yeah, so yeah, we have another playtest upcoming this week. Honestly, just be ready. The patch notes are coming, and that's where the patch notes are coming. Oh, so many Game of Thrones. Can I say that? Yeah. Anyway, they're on the way. So yeah, keep your eyes out on the forums. They'll be up soon, and yeah, you'll see all the awesome stuff we've been cooking up.
And this actually is a good question. Casper asks, what happens between the alpha tests? Do you blank the profiles? Do they keep their profile levels? Like, what happens, generally speaking, for the people who have played in previous
Completely
alphas?
changes depending on what we need to get out of an alpha test. So recently we've been wanting to test high tiers because that gets very little testing because it takes a very long time to get there. So we reset everyone's profiles and then set them up to tier 10 units.
Yeah.
And everyone's playing with tier 10 units right now. I don't know what's going to happen with the next patch. And I don't know what will happen with the patch after that or the one after that. It's very much on a patch per patch basis and what we need to find out from that patch.
We take a look at things, we see where we need to get some info and we go, right, okay, it's time to do that. You know, for example, we had the tier 8 playtest and people got into tier 9 and we had some good metrics on those two tiers and we were like, right, well, not really anyone managed to get to tier 10, so let's just crank it up and see what it's like, because yeah, without getting that tested, I mean, it's absolutely crucial that we've seen that before we go out into the wild, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I guess the next thing to say is thank you and summarize. So, Jamie and David from the developing team, I guess design team, right? The design team
from the
for
arena
Total War
team.
Arena.
Yeah. From the arena team.
The arena team.
If you didn't know that yet.
And let's summarize. So, guys, if you want to know what to do, next weekend is Alpha 10. Keep an eye on that. Make sure you're available and you get on board and play. You have to be a good Alpha contributor. So fill out your forum. What's it called? Sorry, the forums.
Surveys.
The surveys.
Yeah,
Fill out the surveys.
And
Do
go on the
surveys,
forums
please.
and
They're
play in the
so
tests.
helpful.
So
and play and have fun and have fun.
Yeah, probably the most important one actually.
Yeah,
have fun,
enjoy yourself.
it.
Like, have a good time. Yeah, try out some stuff.
all right. So that's
Awesome.
it. I think we're done today, and see you on the battlefield.
Bye.
Bye. Farewell.